Hello and welcome to Iridium Rock and Metal Reviews, and hope you all had a great Christmas and New Year coming up. It can't be worse than 2020. Let's hope it's going to be a good one. Well, music wise, I think we're going to get a good one next year, so that's great. But just wishing you all had a good Christmas. I know it was hard for a lot of people, couldn't see family and that, especially here in England. I'm not sure about anywhere else, but a bit of a difficult one for a lot of people. So I hope you're doing all right. I hope you had a good one, as good as it could be. So today though, we're going to talk about ranking the album tracks again, and we're going to do Skid Row and Slave to the Grind. So what a brilliant album. So with Skid Row, I'll give you a little bit of background on them. I thought their debut album was really good. It didn't stand out massively to me. I know it was like late 80s, I think it was. I thought it was good. They had some good tracks on it, but it wasn't that consistent all the way through for me. But it had some outstanding tracks on it. But Slave to the Grind, man, what an album. Easily for me their best album. This is, by the way, a request from someone. So apart from the first one, which I did, To Hell with the Devil, all the rest of them have been requests. So if you want to request an album for me to rank the tracks on, let me know in the comments below. So let's get back to Slave to the Grind. So a bit of a difficult time for metal bands like Skid Row. 1991, man, I mean, grunge was really kicking in at this point. You know, it was, the tide was turning as far as hair metal was concerned. So it was a bit of a, what are Skid Row gonna do? Well, they turned it up full blast, like on the heavy side for a start. You know, it wasn't grungy in any way whatsoever, but they did it. This was so much heavier than the debut album. And I think it was a great choice to do that. Obviously, I mean, it hasn't been great after that. I didn't really particularly like Subhuman Race. I thought it was okay, lacking a lot of melody that you found on this album and in the album before. And I haven't really followed them much recently. Maybe I should give them a go, but you know, this for me is the Skid Row I know. I thought on this album, which came out June the 11th, 1991, by the way, the second album, I thought on this album, lyrically, it was a lot more mature than the first one. The first one was, you know, partying and stuff like that, and a lot of songs about girls. But on this, lyrically, on this one, it's quite an aggressive album, not just musically, but lyrically as well. Very anti-establishment, I suppose. Very, you know, anarchy was going through this album. Really successful album, double platinum it turned actually in 1998, so I had to wait till 1998 to become double platinum. 48 minutes and 41 seconds long, produced by Michael Wagner. Like, God, he'd done so many albums in the 80s and the early 90s. And he's produced 5 singles, so a very successful album. Too many singles as far as I'm concerned for an album, but you know, that's the way it went back then. So obviously, I mean, Sebastian Bach is the vocals on this album. This was when he was at his best. I thought he was great on the first album as well, but in this one he had a lot more aggression, along with the massive, fantastic range that he had. So, you know, he could sing on the lower register, and the higher register was absolutely unbelievable, with a real aggression in his voice at the same time. Some notes you couldn't believe. He did sound different than a lot of other singers. A lot of other singers could reach those heights, but not with the aggression that Sebastian Bach had with it as well. Amazing. And I hope I'm pronouncing this right, because Rachel Bolan on bass was a man. Scotty Hill on lead guitar, Dave Sabo on rhythm guitar, and Rob Afuso on the drums. Remember Dave Sabo? Didn't he have a ring for his nose or something? Or I can remember, and a chain, I think, from his ear to his nose. But anyway, going off subject a little bit there. So we've got 12 songs to talk about, and you know, this is easily a 9 out of 10 album for me. So an amazing album. Obviously I've got to rank them, and there's a lot, you know, some of the tracks that come near the bottom have still got elements of things that I like, but you know, as far as consistency all the way through the track, you know, I didn't like every single track on this album was equally, and obviously that's like it always is on an album. There's not many albums you get where every song is just equally as strong, you know, as each other. So that's what it's all about, ranking the tracks from 12 to 1. So we're going to kick it off. Coming in at number 12, Riot Act. Now, this is probably my least favourite track because one of my least favourite types of music or genre of music is punk. I can't stand punk music. I think that, I don't know, it's just, I've never got along with it. You know, I know it's a lot of metal fans like punky stuff, but not me. When the metal scene really turned punky in the, I think was it the late 90s, 2000s through the early 2000s, there's a lot of punk and stuff. I could never get into that shit. But this one obviously is really heavy, but punk, very punky, with the attitude as well, this song. A real sort of jammy sort of solo from the lead guitarist on here. And like I said before, this is sort of very anti-establishment, don't tell me what to fucking do type thing. And there's a few songs on this that are like that. It's like a 2.5 minute, bit of a mad song, quite fast, punky. My number 12, Riot Act. Number 11, Get the Fuck Out. So when I was younger, when I first heard this album, that was one of my favourites. I don't know, because I was young maybe, I thought it was quite funny. There's a lot of humour in the song. It's better than what it sounds as the title. When you hear Get the Fuck Out, you think, oh God, this is going to be ridiculous. But it ain't. It's quite a good song. Very heavy, quite a really catchy chorus considering the title of the song. Like I said, quite a lot of humour in it. I think it's about wanting to get rid of a one night stand and, you know, get out of my house in the morning sort of thing. So quite funny. I said lyrically they'd grown up a bit, but maybe not on all the songs. But Get the Fuck Out, it's a cool track. Number 11. My number 10, Psycho Love. Love this song. Very funky on the bass on this, but heavy at the same time when the guitar kicks in. Sort of a stop-start guitar in the verses, but a really cool, my favourite bit of this song is a really cool breakdown at 1 minute 40, where it right slows right down, a lot of atmosphere before it goes back into the song. A lot of these songs are sort of around this sort of stage 10, 9, 8 and 7. These I was sort of didn't really know where to put them. They're quite on the same sort of level for me, a lot of these songs what I'm just about to mention. Number 10 though is Psycho Love. Number 9, Creep Show. Love this one. Another cool bass line, lot of sort of a funky guitar, which they have quite a bit in this. Rather than the bass being funky, the guitar's sort of quite funky in this one. The pre-chorus is, I love the pre-chorus on this before it hits heavy with the chorus, and the gang vocal chorus, which is used quite a bit on this album. There's a lot of shout it out sort of choruses going on, but a really cool song, this one. I think this is about finding out your girlfriend is a stripper or a prostitute, something like that. That's what it seems to me when I was looking into the lyrics. But pretty cool song. Creep Show's my number 9. My number 8, this might be a favourite for a lot of Skid Row fans off this album, but it's come quite low in comparison to what a lot of other people might have. My number 8 is Slave to the Grind, the title track. Now, I do like this song, but it's quite probably the thrashiest sort of song. But I think it loses its heaviness with the speed of the song. Like, for me, heavier songs are usually the medium pace sort of songs rather than the fast songs. And I do like a little bit of thrash music, some of it. But I don't think, as far as if this was their sort of attempt at a bit of thrash, it didn't come off heavy enough for me. But it's a cool song still. I do really like it. Chorus is really cool. Probably my favourite part of the song. Slave to the Grind, title track, is my number 8. My number 7, The Threat. Love this song. You know, I think this is the third one on the album. Really cool riff this has got. This has got a real stomping bass in the verses with some excellent aggressive vocals from Sebastian Bach. Amazing vocals, by the way. Every one of these songs is just mental vocally. Another great pre-chorus as well, got a real heavy groove to it. Another gang vocal, shout it out loud chorus on this one. The Threat is a brilliant song. That's my number 7. My number 6, this is a blinding song. That's Mud Kicker. So a real slower, heavier song, sort of real thumping sort of song. This is Skid Row at their heaviest, you know, one of the heaviest songs on the album. Cool sort of chugging guitar in the verses. A very cool song. And again, I think this is anti-establishment again, sort of like people corrupting high up in society. I think that's what it's about. You know, a very cool song. Mud Kicker is my number 6. We're on some real strong songs now. My number 5, Living on a Chain Gang. So I think this, when I was younger, when this album first came out, this was also one of my top. This would have probably been my top 1, 2 or 3. But as I've got older, it sort of fell down a bit, but it's still a brilliant song. Sort of cool beginning to the song when it kicks in with the guitar and Sebastian Bach's vocals banging straight away as soon as the song kicks in, and then when it goes into that groove of the song, I fucking love it. Vocals and the guitar on this are just amazing. A brilliant groove to the song, real catchy chorus, excellent. Sort of reminds me, I don't know why, this one reminded me of like Youth Gone Wild on the first album for some reason. Living on a Chain Gang was my number 5. So we're getting into top 4 territory. So number 4, brilliant song, Wasted Time. This is the album closer, perfect closer, real epic-y sort of ballad. Excellent restraint on Bach's vocals over that like clean guitar in the verses on this, and the chorus becomes this sort of had a, for me, I remember hearing this for the first time and I'm thinking this wasn't a really catchy song, but I think it becomes more catchy the more times you listen to it. So maybe it's like the melodies creep their way into you, like, you know, if you can remember back when you first heard this, you know, you thought, oh, it's not that melodic, but I think it's one of the most, after a while of repeated listens, I think the melody really creeps on you and just stays with you. Sort of a surprise for a single. Didn't sound like a single to me, but it's a great song. The screams in this song from Sebastian Bach again are just amazing. Absolutely amazing. My number 3, another ballad off this album. There's quite a few ballads if you think about how heavy this is. But number 3, In a Darkened Room. So lyrically very deep. I think it's about child abuse from someone high up in the church by the sounds of it. That's what the song is about if you look at the lyrics. So very, very deep song. So much feeling in this song. Gives me, the vocals on this from Sebastian Bach give me goosebumps even now after listening to it, you know, 1,000 times. Great songwriting. This is the best solo for me on the album. Not the most technical, but it's got real emotion which fits in with the feeling of the song, and lyrically the song, really sad sort of solo on this, and sort of closes out with that solo as well, which is quite cool. So, you know, as far as the structure of the song is concerned, you know, where it used to sort of, especially late in the 80s and 90s, early 90s, very structurally, bands would be like verse, verse, chorus, solo, chorus. You know, this was a bit different. Went out with a solo. Brilliant song. Absolutely love it. Number 2, Monkey Business. Oh man, how heavy can you get with this? When this song kicks in, you just know what Skid Row are gonna, you know, they're just stating the fact, we are here. We're really gonna kick your fucking ass with this album. It's exactly what they did. As soon as this came in, this first song until the end of the album, it was a real statement, you know, what this album was going to be about. It's like they mean business. Probably, maybe the heaviest song on the album. I don't know, there's lots of heavy songs on this album, but this is pure metal. There's a few songs where you would say, you know, if someone who didn't know anything about metal said, look, play me a metal song, you know, this is another one of them. When you go, you put this on and they'd be blown away. This is pure fucking metal. Vocals, guitar and bass and the drums on this are just mental. There's even a cowbell in this. I mean, you can't get better than that. This is like the perfect metal song. And what an opener. So much energy. And you know, I remember when I first heard this, I thought, wow, listen to that. Them vocals are just mental. And the heaviness of this song just pulled me in straight away. And I think it was the perfect opener for this album. And that leaves my number one, if you haven't guessed it already, Quicksand Jesus. So emotional. I love this. And you can guess, up the top of my top songs were the slower ones. I think Skid Row just do amazing ballads. I think they're one of the best bands at doing ballads. You sort of know where this song, Quicksand Jesus, you know where it's going. Like from the beginning, you can feel it building to something special. You know, you can feel it straight away. The guitars are slowly creeping in, and when the electric guitar builds and builds and builds and builds, the chorus is just outstanding. Sebastian Bach's vocals, yet again, I know I keep repeating myself, but it's one of the best vocal performances on an album ever. I love it at about 3 minutes 43 seconds with the Quicksand Jesus, I'm so far away without you part. Goosebumps again. I get goosebumps quite a bit on this album. And then the heights that Bach reaches at the end of this song, you know, all the way through the album. Absolutely amazing performance by all the band. This was at their height. This was easily their favourite album for me, in my opinion, their best album by far. Amazing yet again. That's my ranking. So I really appreciate everyone asking me to rank some, you know, tracks off of these albums. I've got a few more that I'm going to do. I sort of want to touch upon a lot of different bands before I start repeating albums from bands that I've already done, which I've done so far. So far I've covered a Stryper album, a Dokken album. Obviously now I've done Skid Row. I've done another one as well, Queensryche as well. So I want to cover as many bands as I can. Don't mean I'm not going to go back and do another album from a band I've already done, but keep them suggestions coming. This is probably, I really enjoy doing these, apart from my the Zoom calls I do with the guys, the gang. This is probably one of my favourite things to do, and we've got a lot of new music to look forward to in the beginning of 2021. Getting really excited. It's going to be a great year for Iridium, and like I said, hope you had a good Christmas, and make sure you have a good New Year. I'm sure you will. Speak soon.